Energy
Yeah.
always has to come first.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are you stepping into if it's not then the same energy that you were practicing when it wasn't working for you? Or maybe it was and it's exactly what you want. And again, good job.
Yeah.
How did you get there though? Because the same way you got there is the same way that you can get to that next other side. If
Right. You got there by making choices.
Mm-mm.
So if I said there's no such thing as imposter syndrome, what comes up for you?
A check mark.
Check mark.
Yes.
Agreed.
Totally agree. Absolutely. If you even think about imposters that we know to be famous or not even famous, you can look these kinds of things up where people in everyday life, they lie on their resume. They say that they've gone to Ivy League schools and have had all of these jobs, and then they get into positions and they actually fucking do it. They last. The only way that they get caught is that they start to investigate them. Those people who are real imposters, they don't even have that feeling themselves. They're so convicted in who they say that they are that it becomes that thing,
Yeah, yeah.
you
The
know?
conviction part. Yeah,
They
that's so
feel
interesting.
totally embodied in what they claim to be, that it becomes the truth, not only to them, but other people around them, because now they're persuasive and convincing that they are also this thing. So it's interesting to me that people have this experience of imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
because to me, it's almost more shame than it is being an imposter. Like there's something internal that's limiting them from being able to step into that experience, because it's all we're talking about is energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? How to get into this new energy or this new frame of mind. And it's like, okay, so what is this thing that's in between you and this new energy? Because it's not imposterism, you know?
Imposterism. Yeah. Made up word? Maybe
Oh,
not.
it's
Is it
fine.
real?
It's
Sounds made up, but so is imposter syndrome. So
fine.
okay. And also though, the shame shows up, sure, of course, because this is what we've all learned as well. You know, we're gonna shame ourselves one way or another so we can learn right and wrong
Mhm,
potentially.
mhm.
Um Side note, I feel like this is what's unfortunately missing in some parenting
Shame.
shame
I love
nowadays.
shame.
You don't ever shame your child, and also it's like, then
Why?
how are they learning?
Right.
That's a topic for another day, honestly, because it's just like that's how I learned because I didn't want to feel shameful because feeling shameful is fucking horrible. It's a horrible feeling. So okay, back to imposter syndrome. You've got this shame potentially, but at what point, and especially as an adult, is that just an excuse?
Mm.
At what point are you using the feeling, especially if it's an old feeling of shame or guilt, as an excuse to not grow or to not say yes to something or to behave or to not behave in a certain way,
Yeah. I would
right?
take it even a step further. Why are you allowing any feeling to do that? If these are
Right.
just feelings that we have, you feel like an imposter, okay. But again, it doesn't stop the imposter from doing the thing.
Right. It's still you being the imposter impostering. So
Ah,
how is it even showing up as an imposter when it's you?
yeah.
Are you detaching from yourself?
Well,
Or maybe you're already detached from self,
mhm.
which makes it feel like an imposter. So if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, is that not an invitation to just really, really dive into who you are?
To ground in the knowing,
Yeah. The remembering,
the
even.
remember. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Always.
Right. Because imposter syndrome probably starts to show up when your programming from society starts to almost derail from who you believe yourself to be, potentially, right? And
Mhm.
then it probably show and then the shame and the fear and all that stuff also comes preventing you from being who you really want to be because you think you need to be somebody else or something else.
Yes, it's the cognitive dissonance between this feeling and the reality and the truth of the experience And you're now sort of grappling in the mind, having this internal debate of what is real, essentially. And
Mhm.
it's something that you actually have to define for yourself.
Mhm.
That's why the grounding back to you is so important, because that's the answer.
Mhm.
What is it telling you?
What is it telling you? And then what are you gonna do with that
And then what are you gonna
information?
do? Always. Yes. The
Always.
action's so important.
Yeah. So, I'm sitting at a computer. I looked it up, obviously. Imposter syndrome is a psychological experience. First of all, it's an experience
Mhm.
characterized by persistent feelings of inadequacy and self doubt, often despite evidence of success. So, even with that, it's like, why are we even labeling it imposter syndrome then? If it's feelings of an inadequacy and self doubt, then why don't we just call it
That's
that? I'm feeling doubtful. I'm feeling inadequate. That's what it is. What's all
it.
these labels that we have to put on everything?
It's funny you say that, because even the word itself makes it out to be something outside of ourselves. It's a
Right, a
syndrome.
syndrome. Yeah,
Ooh. All right. Ooh,
I
I've
have a
got a
syndrome.
syndrome. Then you can explain that shit away.
Yeah,
Well, I've got a syndrome, so
right.
it's,
That's where the excuse can show
yeah,
up. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, that's
right.
such an interesting point.
It's
Because it
harder to
really does
embody,
allow
like you
us
said.
to detach from then the actions that we need to take, the actual application of, okay, what are we going to do with it, right?
Mhm,
Without even in understanding, there's nothing to it if you don't actually apply it to your life. So it
mhm,
allows you to have that detachment, because it's, well, how do I remove myself from a syndrome?
mhm, mhm.
Most of the time it's try to get away. If you think about just medicine as a general statement, you avoid the things that are going to get you sick or give you a syndrome. So it's really allows for that space and that avoidance to happen.
Yeah, right, and what's the opposite of that? Acceptance?
Right. Uh,
Or understanding?
Release, even like
Release?
allowing all of it to be there. The inadequacy that you feel is just like the experience itself. It's something that's going to pass you by.
Mhm,
What I find interesting even about the definition is that it mentions even in the face of success. So there's also an element of doing already that exists, but
mhm.
your shades are so dark that you can't even see, again, what is real. You've already
Right,
done it.
right, right. It's like looking into a distortion mirror. It's like if all you've ever seen as a reflection of yourself is distorted, then of course that becomes your reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The only sort of way to be able to change that is, one, change the mirror, but
Mhm.
also having an outside observance give you something else to see,
Right.
right? And I feel like that's what coaching, why being
Oh,
a
for
coach
sure.
is so
That's where
powerful, because
coaches are so
be an
powerful.
observer for
Yeah.
you, but then the work is breaking the mirror to build a new one. How do you even know you're in the fun house?
Yeah, right, right, right. Where's the awareness? And even like I'm having this visual now, it's like you break the mirror and now you've got 700 of yourself. It's like, ah, which one? Which one am I? That can be confronting,
Jarring, for sure.
jarring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very confrontational. Absolutely.
yeah,
Confusing even,
right.
because now
So
you
let's
have
say
to
you're
decide.
somebody that experiences, see my words here. You're somebody that experiences imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
which is low self-confidence, low self-doubt in what did I say? Despite evidence of success. And you don't have somebody that's like, hey, you're doing great, actually. Like, have you even noticed and acknowledged all these things that you're accomplishing and all of the success that you've had? Or how do you snap out of that feeling? How do you gain awareness when you don't have somebody to help you do that?
Yeah. I would say, at least from experience, that it has always been another feeling surpassed that initial one more. So
Mm-hmm.
the feeling of, I don't want this to be my experience, was so much heavier and more important to me than any of the other negative feelings that I've had. And that's just mindset in general, right? No matter
Mm-hmm.
what it is. But in seeing imposter syndrome, you have to either sort of be like running away from something or wanting something else so much more, whether it is the version of success that you kind of already have anyway.
Mhm.
Actually being able to sit in it and live in it and experience it as that thing because you have it, but you're not living in that way. And so there's still a missing piece there. So the desire to have that full body, full blown, my whole life sees this as it is and it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what you want more than
Yeah.
continuing to live in this really low, shitty place.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. And also, like, motivation usually isn't the thing that makes you go and do something, right?
Right.
The motivation generally follows an action.
Correct.
It's like just force yourself, take the action, motivation will
It's
follow,
in the
and then you
doing.
can build and sustain and expand whatever. But all that to say, it also sounds like, okay, you're in this place of imposter syndrome. Maybe it's depression, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's something low. And then the decision to go, I don't want to be here anymore. Is that is that a feeling, like, if we're looking at the thinking of the emotional wheel, where is that on the wheel? Like, to me, it's still in sadness. Is this like a rock bottom of the barrel? Like, whoa, this is actually too much darkness for me. I don't want to be here. And then we go and like, is this where some of the shadow of our experience is more powerful than joy, excitement, love? I mean, is anything more powerful than love? Probably not, but you know what I'm saying? Because
Powerful in the sense
if
of
we're thinking
being
about it
able
on a
to
spectrum, then this would be lack of love.
right, but because they sit like this to one another, truly back to back, that it feels powerful in the same way.
Right.
The
And we'd
lack
also
of
have
the
to
love.
know the experience of the alternative in order to go, I definitely don't want this.
Yes.
Knowing that this is what can be.
Yes, and or it doesn't have to be your own. Sometimes being able to see another person do that is enough. I'm thinking
Mm.
about tangent here.
You're going on a tangent?
Somebody in the Olympics or something had to do with running, and they didn't think it was possible to run a fucking mile in, I don't know, like 8 minutes. And then no one could do it until the person fucking did it. And then all of a sudden you start seeing every single
Yeah.
person thereafter is
Just
running that
smashing
fucking
it
mile.
after. Yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes it doesn't have to be your own experience in order for you to be able to see what it could be or what it could look like.
Mhm.
I don't have that type of motivation. It really has to come internally from me, but I can understand how it is possible to gain something from somebody else being able to do something that you so much desire
Mhm.
or are looking forward to, or they're living the opposite of what you have. You might not even necessarily desire it until you see what the opposite looks like and you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah, right. Look at what I've been missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So imposter syndrome. What do we say to that then?
It's not real.
It's not real. Just don't worry about it.
It's not real.
Just don't
You
worry about it. You're fine. Because that's the antidote. Just
you're
don't worry
fine.
about it.
You're actually the truth is you actually are fine.
You actually are
You're
fine.
probably
Yeah.
more than fine.
Yeah.
You're probably actually doing really, really well. So you're
Mhm.
welcome for pointing that out for you.
Yeah.
When
You're welcome.
are you willing to see the picture?
Mhm.
It's more of a question than a statement because we obviously can't force people to do anything or tell people what to do.
Mhm.
We can invite them in with questions. Are you willing and ready to see what the other side looks like? Because it's fun
Mhm.
over here.
It's so fun. It's so fun. You know, speaking of, it's like, who are we to be hosting a podcast?
I know.
Who
I
are we?
know.
And yet
Absolutely.
here we are because it's just fun and we said yes to it. Like, it literally took that just one decision to go, yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
You know?
In the moment as well where the joy and the laughter of it was, it's almost in the insanity of what are we even talking about? What am I even questioning? I think
Huh?
that's what happened to me for so many times in trying to break again mindsets and things of I just saw the hilarity of my mania, you know, where you finally see yourself in the mirror, you're like, this is you, you insane being.
Yeah. Oh,
Look
yeah.
at yourself. It's funny.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh,
laugh
it's very
and move on.
funny. Yeah. Just like earlier when I was like, I'm already out of time.
Yeah,
Like, I have nothing. Well, first of all, what is time? What even is
we're
time?
even doing that right now.
We're
That's
not doing
for
that either.
another one.
That
'Cause
feels like a good tangent.
what is it, right?
What is time? What is time but just a construct that we've decided,
Well,
like
to
let life
measure,
pass us by to measure? Sure.
space, because we are always one, we're obsessed with the future. We can't even live in the present, that we have to experience time so that we can see
Oh,
forward instead of being right here. Time isn't even fucking real. All we have is
no.
this right now.
Right. And I'm literally so obsessed with the future that I'm like, I'm out of time,
Exactly.
you know? And there's nothing but time. But I guess we get into these habits too, and we get into these structures, and we get into this routine
Yeah.
where it's like, I know it's like drop off the kids at this time, pick up the kids at this time. I've got this much time in between, and all the work that needs to get done, quote unquote. And it's like, does it need to get done? I'm also so excited to get the work done. I love what I do. I love my job. I love working. I love all of it. And so in that, the time goes so fast too. It fucking flies. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, time's up. Time's up.
What does that even mean?
What
Time's
does it
up.
even mean? Right. Probably death.
That's
I
the
mean,
only
maybe
time I even, and that's, I don't even think about it. I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend. I could think about that shit all day long, but what, for what?
for
Why even
what?
say we're out of time? Is that even one conducive to what you're doing? Is it real? You know,
Yeah.
didn't you
Yeah.
just finish what you set out to do?
Right. And then if you think about spending literally any time being in an imposter syndrome, it's like, what a fucking waste of it.
What a fucking waste.
Imagine the things that you could be actually taking action on, doing, experiencing, processing, getting feedback for, altering, changing, like all of the joy and also despair of life. But instead, you're just sitting like it just feels like frozen,
Hmm.
frozen in imposter syndrome,
Frozen in time.
frozen in time.
Why are we doing
I
this?
don't know. I just feel like going, putting my, you're frozen. That's how Jamesy poses for pictures.
I
Actually, actually, sometimes it's like this, but then they get so exaggerated. Like this is what I love about kids. It's like this full blown, like elbows up. Oh, it's the best.
so good. That's the inhibition, though, of a
Right,
child, where this is ridiculous. Do
right.
they care? Not even.
No, because
Oh,
they
little
don't
kid.
know what they haven't been labeled with imposter syndrome yet.
Yes. Yeah. So interesting, right? How then does that develop?
Right. That's what I mean. It's a construct, just like time. It's fucking conditioning and society and adults trying
Mm,
to
squash us
make us small
to
and ourselves to
take
make
their own.
ourselves small.
Well, I think even still, that still goes into the construct. We're making ourselves small so that we can appease the conditions of somebody else. We wouldn't intrinsically make ourselves small unless there was a reason. It's always in relationship to something else.
Right. Right. And for what to what end? And for what reason in the first place? For safety, connection, community. But then none of that's even real. If you're making yourself small, if you're tampering with your own expression in order to fit in with something, then is it even you that's fitting in? You
Yeah.
know? It's
Yeah.
just all just building on these false realities over and over and over again until
Yeah.
you've completely lost yourself in something.
Absolutely. You become not no longer one. It's like, and there's something cool to that, where now you're sort of just in the whole, but also there can be both sides. You can be part of it and still that singular, back to our original
Oh,
podcast of that specialness. It's just that the uniqueness that is you, but also makes for the whole as well. It has to be both at the same time. You can't just fall back into it, because, uh, not to sound rude, but what is your experience then? Do you feel the worthlessness that put you in that position? Like, did you want to make yourself that? Was that the goal? Because again, but you're succeeding once again.
this is a success. You have
You're actually fucking
successfully
knocking life out of the park. You just don't realize it.
You have very successfully wasted so much of your life. I'm proud of
Yeah.
you.
Like, look at what you did. You did that so good. This is how I think about, and Lord help me, when I think about people who are criminals and like they're just good at that shit.
Mm,
I'm fucking impressed. Look at you and your goddamn accomplishment.
mm.
Imagine what you could do if you took that same ability and did it for something that's going to progress you, and maybe, I don't know, maybe unselfishly somebody else as well.
Right, right,
It's
right.
fucking impressive. Like the loopholes and the shit that they can fucking finagle to get their way is wild. It's wild. It's something to be revered, right? Removing the criminality behind it, although I we're not even gonna say that, but I don't really, what is
Yeah,
right,
whatever.
what is wrong, what is good, what is
We
bad.
say whatever the fuck we want.
Talking about opinions here, right? So that was also created. What is right, what's wrong, all the laws that we have. It's just someone said so and we all agreed to it, but it's not actually fundamentally true. And so I respect that. I
Mhm.
really do. Their ability to just do what the fuck they want, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, the freedom.
The freedom.
The freedom. And like who knows what they're thinking about at the end of the day, and that's not what this conversation is about because we'll never know. And that's also the kind of the point. But we get to see through our eyes and perceive certain things, and it's impressive. Today it's impressive.
It's
Being a
very
criminal is impressive.
no, 1000%. We're not that far away from criminality ourselves. For most of us, we just didn't get caught. So let's not sit here and pretend like we're some high and fucking mighty. Ooh, criminals. Like, let's not do that.
Yeah.
We're one.
Because the question is, are we choosing violence or not? At
Yeah, exactly. We're one crack in the seal away from beating a bitch up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at least I am.
least I am. Yeah. Being a Scorpio. There's just some violence. It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, so that begs a new question. Thinking of something like addiction, we can say that if it's impressive to be a criminal and have this kind of freedom of choice or whatever, addiction. This conversation is going off the off the rails. Here we go. Oh, similar is addiction to devotion.
Come on. No, we're talking about the same thing here. People just don't want to say that out loud because it hurts our feelings to actually
Mhm.
see it as a devotion.
Right.
And coming from a person that has an addictive personality myself, I know what that is. And I never wanted to admit that it was almost religious
Mm-hmm.
of the sort. And for the folks that are, you know how strong that faith can get you. You can move mountains with faith. It's the same thing.
Right. And it's like which direction are you moving the mountain in? Is
Mhm.
it to the depths of your sorrow? Are you so devoted to your suffering that this is how you have chosen to live your life? You know? Like, and that's a bold statement.
It
But
is.
it's like if we can look at it this way, then maybe it will take its fucking claws out of you. So
Yeah.
you can, choose like, oh, this is a choice. And potentially for some people it no longer becomes a conscious choice because they're so in the depths of it, and fine, this conversation isn't for you. And also, it's like, are you devoted to your suffering? What is your suffering getting you?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times, like when we get so addicted to, and call it a substance, call it like
You can
control,
get addicted to a feeling.
right? A feeling, anything. And this is like high vibe. People
Right.
being addicted to high vibe. It's like love
Mhm.
and light only, love and light only. It's like, but that's not all that there is.
Mhm.
That doesn't make sense, and so for people especially coming into spirituality or trying to come into their journeys or healing or understanding themselves more, I have to be all love and light, then this isn't for me. I can't do that, nor do I want to. There's this threshold that I think some people feel like they need to cross and never return, but that's not real. It's
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah. I even thinking of addiction as a general statement, I'm gonna say this out loud. I don't see anything particularly wrong with it. It's a matter of where you direct it
Mhm.
and what you do with it. I have addictions to things right now that are not detrimental to me, and so I'm more okay with it than I was with the addictions that I had that were actually causing my life to suffer. And it was in the flipping of the desire to no longer be addicted to that experience because I was so
Mhm.
comfortable in the uncomfortable. I knew what it felt like to be depressed and sad all of the time. And I wanted to live there because that's what I knew. And it was an experience that I've always had. And so to look on the other side was even scarier than to feel this experience that I've always had because it felt very normal to me.
Okay, okay. So what if the addiction isn't to anything but familiarity?
Right. Yes, exactly. Right. And so the sorrow that a lot of folks are experiencing that go into addiction is the thing that they're both running to and towards at the same time. It's not something that they can see though. So it's this consistent loop because you don't
Right.
have the awareness that that is both. It's what you're running from.
Right. So not only is it something that we absolutely probably destroys our sense of self and destroys our relationships potentially, can be life destroying and also feels so comforting because it's familiar that you
Yeah.
get stuck in this like push pull.
Hmm. Yeah. To your point of the this connection to the self, for me again, that was the goal,
Mm,
to be so away from myself and my experiences because
mm,
I didn't want them to be mine. I didn't want to identify in that way. And then I had to move past identity and just see it as the experience, full stop. It
sure.
wasn't me. I just experienced that.
You were a human being having an experience,
Right.
right? We don't need to take our experiences and turn them into our identities.
Right. Right. To my
Yeah.
I am. It's like I even don't like to use the language of like I am an addict. I am, that's really
It's
self-identity.
taking ownership over something that doesn't
Isn't
require
ours,
ownership.
right, and if we really think about the truth of our nature, is that it? No, of course not. Even though we're not the love and light bullshit kind of people, that is the reality of, what is the truth. It is this force that we all share together that comes from whatever you wanna call it, God, source, doesn't fucking matter,
Yeah.
right? But that light is the truth. Everything else is just part of your experience to get you back to remembering that that's what you are, including the suffering and the addictions,
Mhm.
if you let them.
Right? Which kind of does make everything love and light.
Right, because everything has that's why I think
Mm.
everything can be in this experience. There's room for it all, the suffering, the sadness, the pain, the joy. How do you know what joy is if you don't have suffering and grief?
Mhm.
How do you know love if there's never anything to take away?
Compare it against, right.
Right,
This is just the nature of our reality is duality.
right.
We talk about this in yoga a lot, like non-duality, non-duality, non-duality. And while I love the concept, it also feels kind of boring. It kind of feels boring. Like I don't want to live. I want to understand non-attachment. I want to understand and work toward non-duality like as concepts, but to have that as the way that you live out your life and experience life, to me it feels really fucking boring.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I would rather lean into the experience in the moment so that I can have the experience of the other side as well. You have to feel one to be able to know the other.
And so to do all of this too, and circling all the way back to the to imposter syndrome, really just increasing your capacity to feel full stop, right? And by inviting in all of these things. So you're experiencing imposter syndrome because you have low self-confidence. Okay, feel it. Why? What has made you feel so shitty in life that you don't have confidence in yourself? Oh, that hurts my heart. And there's probably a list of things, but it's like go through the list then. Don't let the list own you.
Right.
Like you're the one that created the list in your mind. So go through it and like fucking strike them off. Strike them off. You can choose to do that. And I think that's kind of where I get in arguments with people about this kind of stuff, like especially about addiction. Again, going back to that. It's like to me, this is my very humble opinion, there's always a choice. There's always a choice. The moment before you engage in the addiction, there's a choice. You can do it or you cannot do the thing. You can do the thing, you cannot do the thing. And this is why people argue with me because and fair, because I don't know. Why would I know what's real? I'm just one person. And maybe I haven't been in the depth of an addiction so all encompassing that I've felt that I didn't have a choice. But potentially there's part of my personality that just does always hold on to a choice because I like control. Like who knows what the thing is, right? But to me, it's like you can choose. There's always a choice. Because if we lose the ability or even the faith, like you were saying, the faith or the concept of choice, then what do we have left?
Absolutely.
What do we have left? Nothing.
Literally nothing. Because everything is a choice. Even when we think that it's not, we've chosen.
We've chosen. We've
Yeah, we
chosen to
don't have
think that there's no choice.
right. Yes. That think that really just goes to our own awareness, our own essentially self-awareness too. We've given choice away so freely that we forget what it feels like and that we have it all the time.
Mhm. Mhm. So what are we cultivating here? Like autonomy?
That's tough. You say that, I'm like, I don't see
Pardon?
that. I'm
Yeah.
just like, where does it exist? It's like common sense. It's not common anymore. It's just fucking sense. And not a lot of people have it. Not a lot of people have autonomy. I'm just being honest.
No, true. Yeah.
And you see that in so many different spaces. We just, and I don't love to use the word we. I feel quite autonomous. And also, there are times when I tend to follow things because I don't want to fucking choose. I barely want to choose
Mhm.
what I want to eat, let alone all these other choices that we're inundated with choice all of the time, that it
Mhm.
gets easy to give it away until we come to realize we don't have any more left, right? Whatever that kind of means. But it's hard to pull it back when it's been given away because then
Mhm.
it has continuously probably progressed from that person that you gave it to the next person to the next person. Then it's a chain you don't even feel fucking is possible to reach again.
And then no one's taking responsibility for the choices, and then everyone's just blaming everybody else for their experiences, and
Oh,
then
it's
here we
totally
are.
pass the buck.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then here we are.
Yeah, that's how they get the syndrome. It's passing the buck along.
Yeah, the syndrome. And so building or potentially working on energetic sovereignty first.
It always has to be. Energy
Yeah.
always has to come first.
Mhm.
Because what are you stepping into if it's not then the same energy that you were practicing when it wasn't working for you? Or maybe it was and it's exactly what you want. And again, good job. How did you get there though? Because the same way you got there is the same way that you can get to that next other side.
You got there by making choices. Once again, back to the choices. So what about the people that have decision fatigue?
Discernment.
Mhm.
There aren't there are things that maybe aren't that important to decide on. That everything doesn't hold the same weight. And so don't hold the
Mhm.
same weight to every single choice and decision you make. Allow yourself to fail, whatever that means. I don't believe in that.
Definitely that.
You know,
Yeah.
I obviously don't believe in failure because what is that? But again, allowance,
Well,
unfold.
failure is feedback. Failure is feedback.
It's just on to the next thing. And so allowing that to also be part of the process. Not everything has to look or feel good or perfect.
Yeah. Right. We can just let it be what it needs to be. And as somebody who is a recovering perfectionist, I intentionally applied a rule to my work where it started at a 90-10, where this will be 90% perfect, whatever that means, right? So there'll be like one error in it, and I won't fix the error. I'll intentionally not fix the error. I'll just send the email, I'll publish the thing, I'll do whatever to prove to myself that I'm not going to die. I'm not dead. Nobody called me out on the error. Somebody might have been like, "What an idiot. She spelled that wrong." And so what?
How would you even know?
That still didn't kill me, right? And it's still, yeah, you were talking about, was it yesterday, about putting other people in boxes,
Yeah,
right? So who am I to assume that somebody else is going to find my error and then judge me for it? That's
right.
me putting them in a box. That's
Absolutely.
me saying, "You're judgmental. You're going to tell me
Hmm.
that I screwed up and make fun of me because you think you're better than me," whatever box we're putting them in, right? Like this is what our mind does to all, especially for imposter syndrome. Like if anything, all you're doing is putting every single other person on the planet in a box that they're not choosing to be in for how they view you.
There's that autonomy again. We're taking away people's autonomy all of the time by putting them inside of a box and not letting them choose.
Yes. Anyways, then it became 80-20. Then it became 70-30. And now it's I don't fucking care.
And
Then it's
that's
gone.
such an OCD practice of how to get out of that experience. I've had so many OCD tendencies in my life. And that's exactly how you change that behavior is
Mhm.
by the repetitiveness of seeing it through and then actually turning back to see what the feedback is. It's like, okay, did we die? But did we die?
But did we die?
You know? And
Yeah.
sitting in that uncomfortable feeling second to that. I remember I used to have this thing with numbers when I would pump gas. It had to end in a 25
Oh, interesting.
or a number divisible by 5, so a 5 or a 0.
Yeah.
And so I would like get really anxious. I could feel myself, but I was like, okay, it would be like 2:05:01, and I'm like, girl, here we are. And I would stare at the number, and then I'm like, okay, just get in your car and go. Get in your car and go. And I would think
Yeah.
about it, no shit, until probably halfway until I got home, and like, and then I start to breathe again, and it just progressively, I allowed the numbers to change. I would do the same
Yeah.
thing with the volume on the television. Again, it had to be a number divisible by 5, and so I would
Yeah.
put it on volume 27, and then I'd be like, okay, I like 27.
27?
It's a good number.
It's a good
So like,
number.
it allowed me to calm myself down enough to then it's no longer a thing. I
Mhm.
no longer feel this angst in the desire to see it perfectly
Right,
and
it's
exactly as I want
something you created.
it. Right.
So it's something you can uncreate.
Yeah.
You know, we create the problems, we can uncreate them.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes it also takes because same. I liked it on the dollar. I wanted
Right.
it to be like 0, 0. And then I learned through, well, it must have been Jimmy, because he teaches me so much stuff,
Yeah.
that it's not good for your system to have too much fuel in the tank. Like there's a reason why it shuts off when it shuts off.
Right.
And so I was like, it's better for my car to just let it be. And so it's like that reason alone, like ended the 0, 0 thing for me immediately. Now when
Yeah.
it shuts
That
off, I'm like,
desire
oh,
was way
right?
stronger.
It was a stronger desire, right? To have, you know, a
A well
well
your car.
operating vehicle than me get the 0, 0.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, where's the desire? Yeah.
And they
What's
can both be there
stronger?
at the same time, but what's stronger?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
interesting. How
just
fun.
apply that everywhere. Apply that in life. What is the strongest desire? Well, maybe not.
Or find one that's so strong that you are so fucking convicted about.
Yeah.
There's no questions asked. That
Mm.
that's what it is.
Mhm.
It's like your
Sure.
why, right? What is your why? If you get it to
Yeah.
be so strong, and if you can pinpoint that thing so deeply, everything else will fall to the wayside.
Right. And let's pull that back and look at the why and the intention too. Because if we're talking about something like addiction, well, my desire is to be fucked off into no man's land.
Totally.
That's my strongest desire, right? But it's probably laced with anxiety, depression, sadness, escapism, whatever else. So is that truly a desire, or is that, you know,
It's
a what else would we call it? Because
yeah,
it feels desirable to
right. And
many
like I
people.
said, for me, the desire was to be disconnected from the body. And so that was
Yeah.
it for so long until it changed. And I
Yeah.
can't necessarily say what it was that created the shift, but there was something else inside that was awake in,
Yeah.
I would say.
Sure. That was hungry.
Hungry. Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like feed me, feed me. So it's like a desire for the highest good.
Hmm.
Because even in that, like let's say that hunger's in there and it's going feed me, and you're still not, you're still wrapped up in your addiction. Well, at some point, there's gonna be a turning point. You either get better or you die.
Right.
So both of those things ultimately can be for your higher good.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
what is even life?
It's still the choice then too, which to you is the better of the two. I don't see either one being good or bad. They're both solid choices, let's say. They're both going to bring about something to someone. It might not
Mhm.
be you, but it's going to affect someone in a way that you can't even understand. And that's also kind of okay. We have to be okay with it
Ugh.
because it's part of the experience.
Right. This brings me to a whole nother topic. We have this thing right now where our feelings matter. Our feelings matter so, so much. Our feelings matter so much that other people's feelings don't matter. I'm so sick of that. I'm so tired of that like pendulum swinging so far to one side where it's like, yeah, of course your feelings matter. And also, your feelings will affect other people. Other people are responsible for themselves. I understand that, but not as an excuse. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but again, like these excuses where
Well,
it's
not
like,
to a degree that you then can disconnect from the fact that we're all tethered together and
right.
it's a ripple effect. What you do has an effect on the entire world. Let's not forget that.
And not so you can just go and behave in any which manner because you feel like it. Right? Like people are rude, people are belligerent, people say unkind things, and then expect that, oh, well, that's the other person. It's the other person's responsibility to not take on my energy. Like, no, fuck you. You're being a bitch. or an
It doesn't
asshole
take
or
away consequence. It doesn't take away the effect that is
right.
inevitable.
The
Something
emotionality and the
online control.
interconnection of energies.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just because you wanna pretend that it doesn't exist, doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
totally. And the reality also is it's always gonna come back in some way, shape, or form. You can't destroy the energy that you have thus created. It's almost like, speaking almost in like karmic terms. You have a karma to yourself, but there's also a conscious karma. And so you
Mhm. A collective karma.
ties, right, exactly. You can cut these ties and not have what you think is this immediate karma, but the thread continues, my friend. Sometimes it's a bitch, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time.